when a fiercely ambitious employee is thrust into the inner circle of her company's powerful CEO. Late nights and high-stakes decisions spark more than just professional tension. In a world where every move is watched and every rumor can destroy, ambition, attraction, and power collide, and nothing in the office will ever feel safe again. Hello family, welcome to Story Time with Imzi. Please subscribe and like, it means the world to us. Also share this video to your friends and loved ones and turn on post notifications so you don't miss future videos from us. Thank you as you do so. Sit back and relax as we dive into the story. The click of heels echoed down the marble hallway as Sophia Lane clutched her notebook tighter, her pulse drumming in sync with her stride. The 43rd floor of Vantacorp smelled like success, clean lines, chrome finishes, and the quiet hum of wealth. It was a far cry from the collaborative chaos of the marketing floor 2 levels down. Here, silence wasn't just golden, it was expected. Sophia had been summoned. No one got called up to the CEO's office without reason, and speculation buzzed through her department like static. A raise? A reprimand? Had someone finally noticed she'd been carrying the Peterson account solo for the last 4 weeks? Her chest tightened. She'd worked weekends, skipped birthdays, and bled creativity into every campaign. Still, she wasn't naive. Recognition didn't always follow effort. She stopped at the glass doors etched with Damien Cross, Chief Executive Officer, smoothed her blouse, and knocked twice. "Come in." The voice was low, composed. Not loud, but it carried the authority of someone who never needed to repeat himself. She pushed the door open. He was standing by the window, back to her, tall and lean in a navy suit that probably cost more than her rent. City lights flickered in the early dusk behind him, casting his silhouette in sharp relief. Damien Cross turned slowly, his gaze locking with hers, unreadable and intent. "Sophia," he said, with a faint smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Thank you for coming up." "I didn't know I had a choice," she replied before she could stop herself. Humor, her first defense. To her surprise, he chuckled. "I like honesty. Come, sit." She lowered herself into the leather chair across from his desk, every movement calculated, her body upright, spine aligned with her ambitions. "I've been watching your work," he began. "The Peterson campaign, impressive. Your numbers are outperforming projections. You're operating 2 levels above your title." Sophia blinked, unsure whether to thank him or brace for a reprimand. Instead, he leaned forward. "I want you to lead the Everwell initiative." Her breath caught. That was Vanta's flagship rebranding campaign, a beast of a project with global reach and executive-level visibility. No one from marketing touched it unless they had at least a decade under their belt. "You want me to lead it?" she echoed, careful to keep her voice even. "I want to work with you," he clarified, eyes steady. "Directly. I think you can take this somewhere new. But it won't be easy. You'll answer to me and only me." Silence stretched between them like a wire strung too tight. She nodded slowly. "Then I'll do it." He stood, offering his hand. His grip was firm, warm, and lingered half a second too long. "Good," he said softly. "Welcome to the top floor, Ms. Lane." As she exited his office, her heart thundered beneath her ribs. She had just stepped into the opportunity of a lifetime. But deep down, something else stirred, a quiet, dangerous curiosity. And it had Damien Cross's name written all over it. The days blurred into nights, and the line between work hours and overtime faded with each new deadline. The Everwell initiative demanded every ounce of Sophia's energy, brand overhauls, media strategies, and countless meetings with Damien Cross that felt less like supervision and more like something else. They worked late, often alone. At first, the hours were quiet and focused. Sophia sat across from Damien in his private conference room, sketching campaign ideas on glass panels while he moved between his phone and her drafts, offering sharp feedback with surgical precision. But as the clock crept past 9, formality began to fade. One evening, she caught him watching her, not her work, as she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, lost in concentration. Their eyes met. He didn't look away. "You always do that when you're thinking," he said. "Do what?" "The hair thing." He smirked, not unkindly. "It's a tell." Sophia's cheeks warmed. "You've been watching me that closely?" "Professionally, yes," he replied smoothly. But the pause before professionally lingered. The air in the room shifted, just enough for her to feel it. a current passing between them. Unspoken, unacknowledged, yet undeniable. She stood and walked to the board, deflecting. I think the rebrand needs a human touch. We've been too sterile. Everwell should evoke emotion, not just prestige. Damien joined her, standing close enough that she could smell the subtle cologne he always wore, spice, citrus, and something darker. Show me. She pointed to a mock-up she had scribbled earlier, but as she gestured, his hand moved too, landing just beside hers. Not touching, but barely a breath apart. She didn't move. Neither did he. You're right, he murmured. It's missing something. Her pulse thudded, the room suddenly too warm. Glad we agree, she said, her voice a shade too soft. He turned his head slightly, eyes locked on hers. You intimidate people, you know. She blinked. Me? You don't realize it, but yes. You walk in a room like it's already yours. She laughed, unsure whether it was a compliment or a warning. And you? What are you walking like? Like I own it, he said simply. There it was again, that hum between them, just beneath the surface. A game neither of them had agreed to play, yet both had already entered. The moment passed. Damien stepped away, clearing his throat. Let's call it a night. We'll revisit tomorrow. Sophia gathered her things, careful not to rush. As she reached the door, he said her name. Sophia. She turned. I'm not easy to work with. Good, she said. Neither am I. She left without waiting for his reaction, her heart hammering as the door clicked shut behind her. She should have felt victorious. Instead, she felt something far more dangerous. Excited. By the following Monday, Sophia couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted, not just in her, but around her. Eyes followed her through the halls like shadows. Conversations ended a beat too soon when she entered a room. Her name, once said with admiration, now floated on a different kind of breath, careful, speculative, laced with judgment. The whispers had begun. She first heard it in the break room. Two junior analysts stood near the coffee machine, voices low but not low enough. Late meetings. Every night. Just the two of them. You think she's? Well, she didn't get that promotion from talent alone. Sophia stood behind the partition, coffee in hand, blood boiling. She waited until they left before stepping into the room. The bitter roast did little to mask the sting. She kept her head high that day, but when she passed Jade, her closest friend in the company, she pulled her into an empty office. They're talking, Sophia said flatly, arms crossed. Jade sighed. I know. Sophia blinked. You knew? Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't think you wanted to hear it. And because I wanted it not to be true. It's not true, Sophia snapped. Nothing has happened. Jade looked at her carefully. But you want it to. Sophia didn't answer right away. She looked out the window, watching the clouds drift behind the skyline. I don't know what I want, she admitted. But I know what I've worked for. I won't let office gossip erase that. Jade softened, stepping closer. I believe you. I do. But Damien? He's not exactly a blank slate. You know that, right? Sophia looked at her sharply. You're not the first woman he's mentored. The words struck like a slap. Not because of what they implied, but because Sophia had heard them before. Whispers of past assistants who had risen quickly and left quietly. Nothing ever proven. Nothing ever public. Just rumors that clung to Damien Cross like invisible threads. Never tight enough to trap him, but always there. He's never crossed a line, Sophia said quietly. Yet. Jade touched her arm. Just be careful. You're smart, but this place? It doesn't play fair. That afternoon, Sophia walked into her next meeting with Damien more guarded than before. He noticed it immediately. You're quiet, he said, as the elevator closed behind them. They were heading to a client pitch in Midtown, just the two of them again. I'm just focused, she replied. He studied her for a beat too long. Good. Because this client is old money. They'll try to push you into a corner. Don't let them. Do I ever? A flicker of a smile touched his lips. But it didn't reach his eyes. As the elevator glided upward, silence fell between them. Tense. Loaded. Sophia turned to the mirrored wall and saw them reflected together. Two polished professionals, calm on the surface. But beneath it all, the tension simmered. Office walls were thin. So were reputations. And somewhere in the spaces between meetings and late-night brainstorms, Sophia had crossed an invisible line. Not with her body, but with her attention, her instincts, her trust. The question now wasn't whether she would fall. It was whether she wanted to. The rain started just as their plane landed in San Francisco. Sophia pressed her forehead lightly to the cool window, watching raindrops trail like veins down the glass. A week-long conference with industry elites. High-stakes panels. Exclusive networking. And Damien Cross, always one step ahead, one voice lower, one glance longer than necessary. This trip wasn't supposed to mean anything. Just business. But business had a way of feeling personal when proximity and power danced too close to desire. The Hotel Vanta had booked sprawled over several city blocks, opulent and sleek. 2 separate rooms, of course, but the illusion of distance didn't hold. That first evening, after a long panel, Damien found her at the rooftop bar, hunched over a whiskey sour and a half-finished strategy doc. "Working again?" he said, sliding into the seat beside her. She didn't look up. "Always." He chuckled and signaled the bartender. "Let me guess, 3 ideas, none good enough." She arched a brow. 4. And at least one of them is brilliant, actually. "Show me." She handed him her tablet. He scanned it quickly, his finger pausing to highlight a bullet point, his expression unreadable. She watched him, studied the hard line of his jaw in the low amber light, the way his eyes narrowed not with criticism, but interest. "You see things differently," he said finally. "That's rare." She took a sip of her drink. "You're not used to being surprised." He looked at her then, slowly, fully. "No, I'm not." The pause between them expanded, not awkward, but electric. Charged. The kind of silence that says more than words ever could. "Why did you really choose me for this campaign?" she asked, voice low. Damien leaned back in his seat, his drink untouched. "Because you don't scare easy. Because you don't flatter me. And because you make me think." Sophia smiled, but it faded quickly. "That's not what people are saying." He tensed, almost imperceptibly. "What are they saying?" She shrugged. "That I earned this promotion in bed, not in boardrooms." A beat of silence. Then, "Do you believe that?" "No," she said. "But I think some part of me wonders if you chose me because you wanted to blur the line." His jaw twitched, but he didn't look away. "Would it make it easier if I lied?" "I don't want easy," she replied. "I want truth." Damien set his glass down, untouched. "Then here it is. I didn't choose you to seduce you. But I'm not blind, Sophia. And I'm not made of stone." Her breath caught. The city stretched behind him in a blur of light and water. The rooftop was quiet, the distance from the real world, just enough to make the moment feel suspended, like time had stopped to hold its breath. He reached for her hand slowly, giving her every chance to pull away. She didn't. His thumb brushed across her knuckles. Warm. Grounding. "I don't mix business with pleasure," she whispered. "Neither do I," he said. "But this doesn't feel like either." Their hands remained locked for a heartbeat longer, then 2. He didn't kiss her. She didn't lean in. Instead, he let go reluctantly and stood. "Walk with me," he said. So she did. Down marble halls lit in gold, past mirrored elevators and hushed conference rooms. They didn't speak again that night, not with words. But everything had changed. The line wasn't blurred anymore. It had been crossed. And tomorrow they'd both have to decide, step back, or keep walking into the dark together. Sophia didn't see it coming. The morning began with a full inbox and 3 overlapping meetings. By noon, she'd already defused a budget crisis, rewritten a presentation slide deck, and fielded 2 client calls. When the email arrived, subject line, confidential, compliance interview notification, she almost dismissed it as a routine audit. Until she read the body of the message. "You are requested to attend an internal compliance interview related to a formal complaint filed regarding conduct between a senior executive and a subordinate employee. Please report to HR conference room, be at 2 p.m. today. You are entitled to bring representation. This interview is confidential. Do not discuss it with other employees." Her blood ran cold. The words blurred as she reread them. Formal complaint, conduct, senior executive. Damien. Her breath caught. Her office, once her sanctuary, felt suddenly exposed. The air was thinner. The walls too white, too clean. She closed her laptop, hands trembling faintly, and stood. Who had filed the complaint? What had they seen? Or thought they saw? She arrived at HR just before 2. The room was sterile, gray chairs, a pitcher of water, no windows. Karen, the director of compliance, waited inside with a neutral expression and a legal pad already open. "Thank you for coming, Ms. Lane," she said, her tone professional but clipped. "Let's begin." The question started simple. Her role in the Everwell initiative, how often she met with Mr. Cross, whether their working relationship extended beyond office hours. Sophia answered carefully, truthfully. "Yes, we've worked late. No, we haven't traveled together beyond company business. No, there has been no physical relationship." A pause. "Has there been any romantic interest?" Sophia hesitated. Just a moment. But the silence said too much. "Not that I'm aware of," she finally said, her voice a degree colder. If someone believes otherwise, they're mistaken. When the interview ended, Sophia stepped into the hallway and found Damien waiting outside. Jacket off, sleeves rolled, eyes sharp. He didn't speak at first. Just studied her face, reading the damage. "They called me in an hour ago," he said finally. "Same questions." "Who filed it?" she asked. He exhaled through his nose. "Elliot Burns." Her stomach clenched. Of course. Elliot, the COO with a quiet vendetta, always circling for weakness. He'd never liked Damien's rise to CEO, always believed himself the more deserving heir to the empire. And now he had a weapon. "She's sleeping her way to the top," Sophia muttered bitterly. "Classic move." "He's trying to push me out," Damien said. "And you're the perfect angle." Sophia felt the weight of it settle fully then. She'd been promoted into a storm she never saw coming, and her proximity to Damien had made her a target. "I should step down from Everwell," she said flatly. "Before this gets worse." No, Damien's voice was quiet but firm. "That's exactly what he wants. You've done nothing wrong, Sophia. Don't give him the win." But she couldn't ignore the sting. The shame that wasn't hers, but clung to her anyway. "I don't want to be the woman everyone whispers about," she said. "The one who must have slept with the boss because she's too good, too fast, too young to have earned it." Damien's jaw clenched. He stepped closer, close enough to shield her from the buzz of passing colleagues, to speak so only she could hear. "Then let's fight this. Together." Sophia looked up at him, her expression unreadable. There was vulnerability in her eyes, but something harder, too. Steel beneath the hurt. "Fine," she said. "But no more blurred lines. Not now." He gave a tight nod. "Agreed." And with that, they walked down the hallway side by side. Not lovers, not friends, not just co-workers, but two people caught in a dangerous game neither had planned to play. The only question left now was, could they win it? The storm behind the scenes at Vantacorp didn't rage, it calculated. Silent meetings. Shuttered doors. A chill in the air when Sophia walked past, like everyone already knew something she didn't. Damien's smile, when it appeared at all, was tight and practiced. The office had become a chessboard, and someone had tipped over the queen. It wasn't just a compliance investigation anymore. It was a power play, and Elliot Burns was moving in for checkmate. He started small, requesting revisions Sophia hadn't approved, questioning her leadership in team calls, forwarding her internal emails to senior staff with red flag concerns. Subtle sabotage, death by 1,000 cuts. And then came the leak. It started as an anonymous post on a business gossip blog. Sources inside Vantacorp claim the CEO's marketing prodigy is more than just a rising star. Late nights, private flights, a suspiciously fast-track promotion. Coincidence? Or classic office affair? No names. No proof. Just enough poison to make everyone wonder. Sophia sat in Damien's office that afternoon, the blog post glowing on his monitor. He didn't look angry. He looked controlled, and that scared her more. "It's Elliot," she said. "This is his whisper campaign. Undocumented, untraceable, but the damage is real." "He's rallying the board," Damien replied. "Wants to force a leadership vote. And throw me under the bus to do it." He leaned back, his jaw clenched. "He's not just targeting you, Sophia. He's using you to get to me. And I've let him for too long." Her fingers drummed against the edge of his desk. "So fight him. Not with PR. With proof." Damien met her eyes. "If we go to war, there's no going back. I can shield you, but only so far. I don't need shielding, she said. I need leverage. He studied her, longer than usual. Then he opened a locked drawer and slid a thin folder across the desk. What is this? She asked. Everything I've collected on Elliot for the last 2 years. Conflicts of interest. Backroom deals with vendors. Misuse of discretionary budgets. I've been holding it, waiting for the right time. She opened the file slowly. Numbers. Signatures. Emails. It was all there. This is enough to take him down, she whispered. Damien nodded. But it's not coming from me. If I go public with it, I look retaliatory. You, however, am the one he tried to humiliate. Sophia felt her heartbeat slow as clarity settled over her. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about control. Give me access, she said. You're sure? No, she admitted. But I'm done playing defense. Later that week, during a strategy meeting with 3 board members and the head of HR, Sophia walked in with a crisp presentation and a smile like glass. I'd like to table the Everwell update for a moment, she said. There's a pattern of ethical violations we need to discuss. And I have documents to support it. The boardroom went silent. Faces blanched. Phones lit up. By the end of the day, Elliot was on administrative leave pending review. By the end of the week, his nameplate was gone. That night, Damien texted her one word. Clean. She replied. But not done. Because while the chessboard had shifted, the game wasn't over. And for the first time, Sophia wasn't just a piece on it. She was a player. Vantacorp felt different now. Like a room after someone leaves, the air still echoing with what was said. Elliot's sudden disappearance had quieted the whispers, but not the tension. Sophia walked through the halls with a new kind of weight on her shoulders, respect that felt earned and attention that felt watched. Some praised her courage outright. Others, especially the ones who used to talk behind their coffee mugs, avoided eye contact altogether. The board had reviewed her evidence, issued a company-wide statement, and began restructuring compliance policies. But no one said Damien's name. Not aloud. It was as if they had agreed silently that if his involvement remained unspoken, the company's image would stay intact. And yet everyone knew. You couldn't remove a man like Elliot Burns without implicating the battlefield he left behind. Sophia was summoned to the executive boardroom 1 week later. She wore black. Sharp lines, clean tailoring, no jewelry. She wasn't dressing to charm. She was dressing to lead. The board chair, Margot Hale, greeted her with a small, businesslike nod. Sophia, thank you for joining us. She took her seat across from 7 members, each with eyes like polished stone. And in the farthest chair sat Damien Cross, quiet, composed. The same power in his presence, but this time, something softer in his gaze. You've demonstrated initiative far beyond your role, Margot said, cutting straight through the tension. Your actions prevented what could have been a public scandal and showed moral clarity under pressure. Sophia waited. We'd like to offer you a promotion to Vice President of Strategic Development. Effective immediately. You'd report to the COO directly, not Mr. Cross. There was a pause. A long one. Sophia looked at Damien. He didn't flinch. Didn't interrupt. His expression held no expectation. Only the quiet satisfaction of someone letting go of control and watching something better rise in its place. I accept, Sophia said. Relief washed over a few faces. The room exhaled as though they'd all been holding their breath. After the meeting, she stepped into the elevator alone. Or so she thought. Damien caught the doors just before they closed. The ride down was silent at first, but not tense. Not anymore. You were incredible in there, he said, breaking the quiet. You didn't just survive the storm. You rewrote the forecast. She gave him a small smile. You knew they'd offer it to me. I hoped they would. I stayed out of it. You didn't need to, she replied. I'm not yours to protect. His lips curved slightly. I know. That's why I wanted you at the top. Without me standing behind you. They reached the lobby. Neither moved to leave. I think you should take some space, Damien said. From me. From all of this. Sophia blinked. You're pushing me away? I'm giving you room to decide what you want without a corner office breathing over your shoulder. She nodded, quietly stunned by the unselfishness of it. You once said you weren't made of stone, she murmured. He stepped closer, not touching her, just letting his voice fill the air between them. "I'm not," he said. "But I can stand still. For you." And then he left. No kiss. No promises. Just a pause. The kind that doesn't end something. The kind that waits. Because now, for the first time, they were standing on even ground. And the next move, it would be hers. 2 months passed. The air in Sophia's life felt clearer now. Her new office, higher than before but somehow less suffocating, overlooked the city like it was hers to command. Meetings came faster, decisions heavier. She no longer asked for permission. She gave direction. And when people looked at her, it wasn't with suspicion, it was with certainty. She'd earned every inch of her authority. Damien kept his distance, as promised. They passed each other in board meetings, shared the occasional glance across a crowded room, but there were no late-night texts, no lingering touches. Just silence. Not cold, but respectful. Intentional. It was harder than she expected, but necessary, because while the attraction still burned low in her chest, what mattered more now was what it would mean if she chose him. Not out of fear, not out of proximity, but because she wanted to, when everything else was her own. On a Friday evening, long after the building had emptied, Sophia stepped out of her office and walked, slowly, purposefully, down the quiet executive corridor. She knew he'd still be there. He always stayed late on Fridays. She didn't knock. He looked up when she opened the door. No surprise on his face, just a slow, quiet smile, as though he'd been waiting without expectation, without demand. "You're late," he said gently. "I wasn't sure I was coming," she replied. "And now?" She crossed the room without hesitation and stood in front of his desk. Her voice was steady. "Calm. Now I know what I want." He leaned back, patient. "And what's that?" "You," she said. "But not behind closed doors. Not in secret. Not as a risk or a rumor. I want you with me. Out there." He stood slowly, every movement deliberate. "There are going to be consequences." "There always are," she said. "But I'm not afraid of them. Not anymore." For a long moment he said nothing. Then he stepped around the desk, close enough to touch, but didn't. "Not yet. I didn't fall for the strategist," he said. "I fell for the woman who never flinched, even when I did." Her breath caught. "So kiss me," she whispered. "Or tell me to leave." He didn't hesitate. His hands cupped her face, warm and certain, and his lips met hers in a kiss that wasn't desperate, it was earned. Quiet, firm, filled with all the tension they'd carried for months and the release of finally setting it down. When they parted, they didn't speak. They didn't need to. Sophia turned in his arms and looked out the window, the city glittering below them, no longer something to climb, but something to own. Not because of him, not because of scandal, but because together they had walked through fire and come out not burned but sharpened. And this time, they weren't crossing any lines. They were drawing new ones. Together.